Hey guys, welcome to the Dad Shoes Podcast, the dad group you don't have to go to.
Today, we're talking about table manners. But first things first, Connor. You got any plans this weekend?
I was wondering what was taking you so long.
We don't know. We don't say
yeah,
that anymore.
I think...
we didn't type it anymore. So
No, we don't type it anymore. But yeah, first things first, I think my plans this weekend are to hang out with you.
I think that is correct, my friend.
Yep. Now let me ask you. Let me ask you this. How did you find out that we were going to have a dad's weekend this weekend?
Well, about 3 weeks ago, my great aunt died. And Aunt Gloria was just a wonderful person. Just a wonderful person. There's nothing else you can say. She was like the best kind of person you could ever want to meet. And I was off that Saturday, but her funeral was Wednesday, so I had to switch with somebody. So I had Wednesday off. But for some reason, this never happens. I had Saturday off, and then the next Tuesday, and then the following Saturday. It's like that never happens. So it was like for 3 weeks. It was just weird. So my wife asked me, well, when's your day off? And I told her about, we had to go, we're going to the funeral. And then she said, well, next week, Tuesday, the week after, Saturday. Okay. And then like an hour later, she's like, so Marcy and I had plans. So
Yeah,
she's like, so we have plans, and you and Connor are going to go take the kids, and his wife and I are going to go hang out, and we're going to have a mom's day. Sounds good to me. That sounds like a great idea.
All right. So it sounds like you found out the exact same way that I found out.
You were told.
Which was my wife came to me and said, hey, on this day, Cassie and I are having a girls' day. So you got the kids.
And I mean, that's fair. Especially.
That's fair.
I don't mean to diminish your wife's contributions. My wife stays home with the kids all day.
Yeah.
Like the whole trope of moms don't get time off. It's so true for her, because even when I get home, I'm just so beat. And if she worked, I would hate to have her come home super tired and then have to deal with the kids. But I come home and I'm super tired, and she's like, I've been dealing with these kids all day. Can you help? And I'm like, so I will help. And I do everything I can because I like hanging out with my kids.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can do. Like Mabel today doesn't want to have anything to do with me. She wants mommy. So
yeah.
So I mean,
my kids are in that right now too.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason, my wife wanted to do this Mom's Day. I think in part she is going to be treating your wife this weekend a little bit. Because we both work full time. I mean, it's treating. I don't know what kind of financial contribution that means
Right.
in terms of paying for stuff. But my wife and I, we both work full time. Both my kids go to school, so we're a little bit more even when it comes to being home with the kids.
Right.
Although my kids are both in. It depends. They definitely prefer mommy, especially when they're fussy, unless mommy is the one disciplining them, in which case then it's daddy. Maybe it's
there?
just the perceived
is she watching you talk about that?
She's walking around. Yeah. Well, the second that we started talking about Mom's weekend, she started giving me the eyeball from the living room.
What are you doing?
Just wants to make sure we're saying the right thing. Yep.
I like I like it when she makes that I can see that eyeball that she gave you, because it's like you're gonna say what I want you to say, right?
Absolutely. Of course I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say the right thing.
Or of course you are, because you're a good husband and a good dad.
Thank you. Somebody recognizes me.
Oh no. Now you're gonna have to find somewhere to sleep tonight.
She just walked out of the room. My timing is impeccable.
Well, as long as she doesn't listen to this.
She doesn't listen to my podcast. So my plans this weekend are to hang out with you, actually. So, John, what do you want to do this weekend?
I don't know. I don't know. So last weekend we met up for a couple hours and did some swimming with the kids. And
it was a good time. We had dinner.
Yeah, it was really a good time. I was super stressed, so it really helped me out.
Yeah. It was a good time. I couldn't tell you were stressed.
But,
that's a podcast for another time.
Yeah, well, maybe. But
We'll see.
no, I don't know. I would normally say, hey, let's go to the like the science museum or something. And
Yeah. Well,
but
related,
mm,
because I think we both have passes to this place. This is live. I'm putting this offer. I have not talked with you about this previously. Do you
yeah,
still have a pass to the zoo?
I I don't know, and I never
'Cause
did. My wife
you
did.
guys didn't have a pass to the zoo?
We did. My wife did. So when she
Okay.
would
Yeah,
go, I could
okay.
go with her.
Yeah, we did the same thing. We put, I think, because we did the same thing. We got a pass to the zoo, annual pass, and we put it in my wife's name because we thought, oh, my wife is probably going to be the one to take
She's
the
going to
kids.
go with them all the time.
That is not true in my family. We had to fix that immediately
Really?
because this was like early pandemic,
Uh-huh.
you know, and my wife just she works hourly.
Yeah.
And I'm on salary. So my hours are a little bit more flexible when
Right.
it comes to like the kids. Like if there's a day where the kids just can't go to school, most of the time I encourage, I ask my wife to take the day off to be with the kids. But early pandemic, there were a couple days where I had the kids. And so we went. I tried going to the zoo, and the pass was in my wife's name. So I was like, "Oh no, we need to fix that." So you put my name on that. And the reason we did it was like maybe my wife will go with my mom, and then her and my mom can go with the kids, or she'll take her mom. No, that is not at all how it works. So I have an annual pass to the zoo. Yeah, I mean the kids just go. I mean they just come with you.
Although if you have the pass, then I can be your guest, and the kids are free.
That's true. But then what about the kids are free?
I think so.
We'll have to look into it.
Yeah, well, look,
the zoo would be
if
fun.
That's
Although
you want to go,
I will say, what going to the zoo with my family means is we drag Titus through the first two sections of the zoo. The entire time he just wants to go to the playground.
Oh man,
that is it.
Do you guys go to the right or the
playground
left first?
And we're there for like we go to the right first. So there's a whole section. It's like a tropical bird section of the Palm Beach Zoo. I've never seen it.
What?
Because we just don't make it that far before my kids.
Right. The other side. Yeah.
Because we go, if you go into the left, it's like this tropical bird thing, but we always go into the right, and so we see the Florida animals. Yeah, the swamp. And then we go to the next section where the little bridge is, where the big anteater is, and then that's about as far as we get. And then it's like, nah, okay, we're going to the playground.
Really?
That's our trip to the zoo.
You know what? For $100 a year, you can talk about how good zoos are for animals, whatever. That's a whole nother topic. But $100 a year, because that's how much it used to cost. The kids get to go. They generally have a good time, and I think it's worth it. I mean, it's only $100 for the whole year. It's less than $10 a month. So I don't know. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm totally.
We haven't been. The kids haven't been in a while. My kids have not been in a while. I went with my youth group a couple weeks ago. And we did the same track. We did the first 2 loops, and then they were sick of it, so we left.
Really? Wow.
Well, we ordered food at the zoo. It took a while to get our food. I think that was a real buzzkill. Really slowed our momentum down.
Oh, that if it takes forever, totally. And it
was good food though.
Pretty quick. It's pretty good food. It's not the best, but it's pretty good.
I was impressed. I got a burger. I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I overpaid for it.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a good feeling.
So that's an option, or we can do some more swimming because apparently Charlotte, May, and Mabel will be graduating from swimming lessons next week. They're gonna do this week. They're doing all the like swimming in your clothes lessons.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The real like rescue stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a little miffed, and I know it's my expectation versus reality. Like I expected them to like learn to swim, not just be in the water. And it's kind of like they're just going to learn to be in the water and get themselves out of the water.
It's rescue swim, yeah.
Yeah. And so okay, that's my misunderstanding, and I can get past that. But that's really where I'd like them to be, is like you can swim, you can jump in the water when daddy's in the water and swim to daddy wherever he is in the pool.
Well, they should be able to do that.
I hope so.
Well, okay. Theoretically, having two kids who have quote unquote graduated swim lessons, theoretically they should be able to do that.
Right.
Now, will my kids do that? Probably not. There's a whole like swim, float, swim kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know about your kids, but my kids don't enjoy the float part of swimming, and it's hard to get them to initiate that on their own. So,
yeah, we haven't let them do that yet. So I haven't.
That's a whole other thing. Theoretically, they can do it.
Right.
But
right.
anyway, we're not
Anyways.
here to talk about swimming. We're here to talk about weekend plans, because I have a thing that came up with my wife, and this is like where we want to draw this current event home to the listener. Is do you, John, do you plan your weekends around your kids?
Yes and no, because I've been thinking about this more and more lately as like a selfish regret that almost instantly gets kicked away because I ride a motorcycle. My wife and I like to go on motorcycle rides. Like, I had a motorcycle when we met, and that was kind of one of the things we like to do together. I can't do that now, and I don't ride my motorcycle much at all because of it. So on one hand, it's like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to bring the kids with me and hope they enjoy it. But on the other hand, it's got to be something they can do and can enjoy. So, like, sort of, and because I work outside, I like being outside, but it's been really hot lately. and like I have black hair, and I wear a black hat, and sometimes my brain feels like it's on fire. So it's in the oven. So
you spend too much time outside.
I do. And sometimes I just don't want to go outside. I want to stay inside. There's things around the house I have to do. I will cut the grass once a week because it's something I have to do and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
The kids don't do that
it's
with
Florida.
me.
It rains. Grass grows.
Yep. And the kids don't do it with me because they really can't yet. I will absolutely have them do it with me when they're older because it's good for you to work.
That's what kids are for.
Yeah, that's what kids are for. But if I get a chance like this weekend, I'm gonna have 2 whole days where I get to spend time with my kids and
in a row,
and you and your kids. And so this weekend is gonna be like what I hope is it's gonna be something where we can enjoy being dads with our kids. So I know we've talked about this before, but like, nothing brings me more joy than seeing a smile on my kid's face, like watching them genuinely be happy, and not just like, I'm watching the show that I like. They're having a good time.
Yeah,
I like.
Yeah, because that TV show Happy, that happens all the time,
and it's not really happy. I mean, you're never happy when you're watching TV.
I'm not happy. You know what? We're both at a stage in our life, and we've talked about this before, where I have a limited time, and if I'm going to sit down and watch something, gosh darn it, I want to make sure I'm going to enjoy it. So that just means I end up watching Community over and over again.
or as I put in our thing under the current content, freaking MCU, man.
Yeah, you know you're gonna like it anyway.
Yeah,
so we have in our family, we've had a lot going on lately. We've been working on a house. We recently moved into that house, and this house has really taken up a lot of our spare time.
Yes,
as it were. I mean, and that's been like our weekend plan. Is like we're gonna work on the house this weekend, and I've gotten better about. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm salaried, right? So I don't really work hourly in my job often. Like the most important parts of my job happen like not during business hours.
Right.
Like nights and weekends are kind of my big thing.
Yeah.
Because it's youth ministry, right? That's when the kids are not in school.
Right.
So Sunday mornings, like I'm working. I'm at church all Sunday morning. Saturdays I've been a lot better about saying like I'm not doing any church things unless it's like a special event, like pre-planned. Right. Like let's get all the church stuff settled so we're ready for Sunday morning. So now we're in the house. We're moved in. There's still a couple things here and there we need to do, little projects, but it's not like super pressing.
It's homeowner projects.
It's homeowner projects. Yeah, it's like this is just normal. You in the house.
I have to do something with this. Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife and I brought it up to her this week, actually. Like right before I brought it up to you, is like saying we should talk about this. Is like we really need to plan our weekends around our kids. And maybe this is just our failing. I don't want to say failing. This has been our trial as parents lately. We've had a lot to do, and so our plan has been the house, and our kids have been neglected. They spent a lot of time with Nana. Spent a lot of time on the screens because we got to get these projects done. So now that we're in the house, I really want to focus on planning my weekends, like my Saturday. The question isn't going to be what can I get done today. I want the question to be what are my kids going to do today?
Yeah.
And part of it I think is because I don't spend all week with my kids at home, so I don't always know what to do with them at home.
Yeah.
So I'm often like, okay, if it last Saturday was a great example. My wife went shopping with my mother and my aunt, so she's going and getting house stuff. So I'm like, okay, I've got the kids. Well, let's go to the park. I got no ideas. Let's go to the park because the park is always.
If they enjoy it.
Yeah, the kids love it. It's gotten a little harder. Being at the park by myself with two kids because they both want my attention at the park now. They are both just big enough to get into enough trouble. Get in situations where they need somebody to help them out. But, I want to plan my weekends around my kids. I want to keep them, I hate to say occupied, I want to engage with my kids on the weekends. I want to know that Saturday, like Sunday I work, the first half of Sunday I work, the second half of Sunday, football season starting up, so I'm watching football. But Saturday is for my kids, right? Yeah. I want to plan my Saturdays for my kids.
I like that. And that's my mom told me, I don't remember when, I just know it was her. She says, once you have kids, your life is not your own. And it's so true. But it's not so much like when you don't have kids, you can do whatever you want because it's what you want to do. But when you have kids, not only do you have to do something that benefits them, right? Like your life revolves around making sure they succeed, but it brings you joy when they're having a good time. So, it's not my own. I have fun when they have fun. So,
yeah. And I think this isn't the direction we wanted, to go the whole episode.
Yeah.
We just wanted to talk about this for a little bit because we have a dad's weekend coming up. But I know, like, for Marcy and I, we were really concerned that, we didn't want our identity to just be my kids' parents.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't want to just be Titus's dad. I still wanted to be Connor. I still wanted to be me and have my own interests and my own hobbies and stuff. And in that, you make time for it. We make time for the podcast. But
yeah, we can do a whole episode on our hobbies apart from our kids.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about dad hobbies. I actually saw the notes on that one as I was going through and clearing out my Google Docs.
Yeah.
We talked about making clear ice. You know what? I still haven't cracked it.
I have a refrigerator.
I've had other stuff going
for
on
me, and I still can't do it.
That's saying something.
Yeah, man.
I haven't come back around to that one. Clear ice is still the dream.
Let me ask you. Let me switch topics here a little. Do you make your kids sit at the dinner table? This is like a whole turn. Do you make your kids sit at the dinner table when you're eating dinner?
When we're eating dinner, yes.
Yeah.
So picturing meals, like the meals that we have, like I said, my kids are at school during the week, right? So, breakfast is like, hey, eat something real quick before we all have to go. Lunch, they're at school. Dinner, we're at home. And so right now, we're pretty good about being at the table.
That's good.
Now, we experienced this last weekend.
Right.
We do dinner differently.
Yes, we do.
This last weekend, we do dinner differently. So we prep all the plates. So when the kids come to the table, they have a full plate of whatever it is they're going to be eating. There's a couple things we might hold back. Like, my kids love chips. So I won't necessarily put chips on their plate right away. I'll give them the main course first, they eat the main course, and then we'll put the stuff we know they're going to eat on later. But we serve the plates full, ready to go. So we've been pretty good about eating at the table. My kids eat dinner at the table, and then the problem we have is the kids will eat first, and then we will eat later. And that is simply because in a regular like weekday, like my kids' plates are a little bit easier to put together than ours.
Right, because you don't make them eat what you eat.
Not all the time. Titus is so picky. We just try to get him to eat something.
Sure.
We're really trying not to make Riley's plates similar. Like we still give Riley what we're eating, unless it's something we know she's not going to eat.
Right.
Like tonight we had enchiladas, so she had rice and beans. Titus doesn't eat rice and beans. Riley likes rice. I love rice. It took me a long time to love rice. I wish I didn't waste so much time hating rice, but I love rice now. So Riley's on board with rice. But like when we were eating together, we had fish, and I just know my daughter doesn't like fish. It is what it is. So they often get their plates first because it gets so late.
By the time your food is cooked, it's
by the time our food is cooked, like I was sitting down to eat tonight at like 6:45, and that's late for my kids.
That's about when we
when they come home from school. Yeah, I mean they want food before then, and they both got snacks, and these kids just love eating.
But they don't want to eat anything good.
No, they want to eat chips. Our big drama with dinner tonight is Titus's the cheese in his quesadilla was melted, so he wouldn't eat it.
That's the best way to eat cheese, Titus.
Dude, tell me about it.
Man.
He said, I don't like this
deliciousness,
cheese.
man.
Like, it's the same cheese. It's just melted. He won't do it. But anyway.
What a shame.
We mentioned in the intro, we're talking about table manners.
Yeah.
So what when you say table manners, what do you expect of a 1.5-year-old? You have a 2-year-old?
So I have a 3-year-old.
How old is Mabel?
And 20. So Mabel's 20 months.
Okay, so not sorry.
Quite 2.
It's after 10, and I've had a little bit of whiskey, so I don't know how old your kids are.
It's all good. It's all good. And you're right. You're right. Like, what do you expect from a 2-year-old, right? And
yeah, effectively.
I don't know because, like, look, when I was a kid, and I don't know when it started, but you sat at the table, no elbows on the table, used a fork and knife, just what we know as good table manners. Chew with your mouth closed, and I kind of remember the first time that was a thing. Like, my dad finally looked at me and said, "You need to chew with your mouth closed." I don't know if he'd ever said it before, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I was little, and now I chew with my mouth closed. So, at somewhere along the line, I picked it up, but
started to make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And like right now, we've just run into we finally got we sit at the table for dinner, and we got the may I please be excused when we're done with dinner. And it's not as cute as it used to be, because Charlotte May she would go, "May I please be excused?" And it was, she'd draw it out, and it was just, she could have been a tyrant at dinner, and she'll say that, and you'd crack up. Now she just says, "May I be excused?" So we've now got them to, Charlotte May takes her plate, she dumps it in the trash, and puts it in the sink. And Mabel, because Charlotte May does, if you remind her about her plate, she does exactly the same thing. Just, "Hey, Mabel, your plate." And she picks it up, and she does the same thing. And even if it's a paper plate, they bang it in the trash and put it in the sink. So that's stuff sweet. Like that is what we want. Is like, don't put your feet on the table. Don't stand up. And standing up is the biggest issue we have with Mabel.
Don't put your feet on the table, man. That's a battle.
Oh my goodness.
That's a battle you didn't think you were going to have.
You know what? In hindsight, I kind of remember being like that. Like, I put my feet on the table just because it was comfortable. So,
and maybe I don't remember ever doing that, but
I don't know that I did. I just kind of remember maybe I did that.
Considering when you were like, early 20s, you drove your van with your foot. I could see you putting your foot on the table.
Man, I completely forgot about that. That was not smart. Don't do that, kids. Don't do that.
Oh
I
man.
have years of experience.
Yeah,
which keeps me safe.
we don't do excused. We do ask, just are they done? Because a lot of times they're just, we want to make sure they're done before they leave.
And finally, they'll sit at the table even though they're finished.
Yeah, we still strap our kids in. I don't know that you guys do that anymore.
Mabel, most of the time.
But we strap our kids to their seats. It's like when they come to dinner, like they are there until they ask to leave, and we are ready to release them. We've got these little booster seats they sent in. And Titus will buckle himself in. I mean, he knows the drill. We get to the table, we sit down, and he'll buckle himself in for the most part. Sometimes we don't buckle him in, and he'll still stay for the meal. He's there. I think in terms of table manners, what do I expect a 2-year-old to do? I appreciate the asking to be excused.
Mm-hmm.
We don't ask our kids to do that, but I remember growing up, if we had dinner at my grandma's house, you had to ask to be excused.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you sat at the kids' table in the other room, you had to get up, go to the adult table, ask to be excused before you can leave.
I remember that.
And that was just...
Not at your place. We had to do it at my house.
Yeah. That's just how it was. You had to ask to be excused. I appreciate that. And I think we'll get there with our kids.
I don't think that we don't do it. I hated asking to be excused because not only did I have to be excused, but with my parents tried to implement, like if you had to go to the bathroom during dinner, you had to say, excuse me, and then get up and go to the restroom, which as a dad, I'd kind of like because all of a sudden Charlotte May gets up and she bolts.
Yeah.
I've picked up.
Oh, dude, you want to know where they're going?
I recognize the sign. Right, exactly. Now I recognize the sign. And okay, she's going to go to the bathroom. But the first few times, it was like, shut up, get back to the table. Because she used to just get up and run around the house.
Like maybe they're just going to go play or something. And you're just...
Exactly.
You want to know where they're going.
Exactly. But so like...
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm a little...
We usually get through a meal before.
But I do want you to know, I want them to realize I have finished my dinner. I'm all done. And in the past week, we've had to like, Charlotte May, are you done with dinner? No, I have to finish. And she we've all had food. I've had, my main course. I've had a salad. I've picked off Mabel's plate, and now Charlotte May hasn't touched her food. And now it's bath time. And then she wants to go on a walk, right? And it's, kid, get to stepping, right?
You missed your chance. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, dude, are you done with dinner? And she's, no. Well, you got to hurry up and eat. And then all of us, like tonight, we had hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah.
She'd had 2 bites of hot dog all through dinner. And Mabel wants to go take a bath because she's peed and she wants to go take a bath because she loves the water. And Charlotte May, are you done with dinner? No, I had to finish. Well, finish. She takes a handful, like literally 4 slices of hot dog, shoves it in her mouth. It's like, dude, slowly, consistently, but slowly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I don't always recognize this in the moment, but I'm gonna say it. 3-year-olds do not have a concept of time.
No.
Like they don't understand, because we try to explain that to Titus all the time. Like, hey, if you do this now, you're not going to have time to do the thing you want to do later.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we spend our time playing, you're going to miss out on watching Pete the Cat later on because there's a certain amount of time. Right?
Right.
And we can't draw this out past 9:00. Like you need to be in bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But 3-year-olds don't have a concept. I'm not even sure 4-year-olds do. My kid's not 4 yet, but I don't think 4-year-olds really have a concept of time either, because they're just, one, he doesn't know how to read a clock, like, first of all. But I think what's important to me, and this is something I've told Marcy this too, when it comes to my kids and food, like obviously if they're banging their silverware on the table, we're going to stop them. That's a no-no.
Yes.
You're going to damage the table, all that stuff. Like you want them to behave. Keep your feet off the table. The big thing for me, though, is I think the big thing for me is I want my kids to respect the table. And like the idea of the table.
The dinner
like,
table.
We're sitting here, the dinner table. Like, we're here sitting as a family, okay? Like, I'm going to make a meal, and I'm going to work to make this plate for you. And if you don't want that plate, well, then you just leave the table then. You know, if you're not going to respect the meal, if you're not going to respect the table, then just go.
Interesting.
You know?
So that's interesting.
In practice,
I get it.
In practice with a 3-year-old, it doesn't always work, but there have been times when he's like, you know, the practical example, this is what we see. He'll come to the table and he'll say, "Oh, I don't want that." And I'll just say, "Fine, leave, go play." But he's hungry, you know, so it's like, "No, I want my plate." Okay, then we've established this is what you have.
This is dinner.
This is what I've made for you, you know, and that said, we have made him a special plate. We are all eating burritos, and he is eating a not melted quesadilla. You know, whatever it is, his meal is at least themed off of our meal. But it's like, dude, this is what you got. You know, I'm not going to make you something else. For a while, you know, we would ask him what he wanted before dinner.
Right. I remember that.
Just, we don't want to waste our time making something he's not going to eat. And I'm on and off on that. Like, tonight, I just made him tacos.
Okay.
I just made him, quote unquote, quesadilla, is what it really is. And he didn't eat it. He's like, all right, well, then you're not getting dessert. You're not getting you don't have to eat it, but this is here. And if you want to eat it, then you can have dessert. But if you're not going to eat it, then no go. So
my family was the same way growing up. Like my mom, I remember one time it was chicken or something and I didn't want it. And I was older. I was like 7. And I don't want this. And my mom said, well, you can go make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but this is dinner. I'm not cooking anything else. I'm not making you anything else. You can go make yourself a peanut butter jelly sandwich and you can clean up afterward, but this is what's for dinner. And guess who ate whatever was served for dinner that night? You know?
You don't want to make peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what was. So ever since then, dinner is served. That's it. End of discussion. Mm-hmm. Here at our house, this is what's for dinner. If you want to eat it, here you go. And we've kind of run into an issue with almost a hypocrisy because our niece, my wife's niece, was having an issue. She just didn't want to eat. And her parents would like load up her plate with like a portion that I would eat and be pissed that she wouldn't clear her plate. And she'd have like a couple bites. She's not hungry. She doesn't want it. She's full. So then she'd have to sit at the table and like force feed herself because, you know, and she was at the table for an hour. And so we talked to them about it. And this is years ago. It's like, hey, you know, because she came to us and told us, I don't want that much food. And we're like, why don't you try letting her make her plate? And so they started that, and she'll make her plate. She eats everything. She'll go back for seconds sometimes. Sometimes she won't. And so we ran into the issue where we make their plates, and then they're not eating anything. And I'm like, you gotta eat your food. And my wife's like, wait a minute. We just had this conversation. And
interesting.
Yeah. So now it's become. Now they tend to eat, but they go through, you know, kids go through growth spurts. And one day they won't eat anything. And the next day they eat, you know, a 12-ounce steak, right? And maybe not Titus, but.
No, probably not. He's 12 ounces of bacon, maybe.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we've had to learn that sometimes they want food and sometimes they don't want food. And, for us, that's how sitting at the table and eating dinner has become.
Yeah.
I think it's good. If you want food, this is food. And if you don't want food, then you're excused.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know where, I mean, where that concept of respect to the table came from. I mean, it's not something my mom ever did, but I think it was just like, as I personally got into making food and just thinking like, hey, this is it, you know, this is what we're doing. I've put time and thought into this meal.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to partake, then just go. Like, I'm not going to force you to sit here, you know, spend time with us and stare at a plate you don't want to eat. That idea of build your own plate, I don't know, maybe we'll give that a try, because I do think like Titus is a really picky eater, and I think it's a control thing. I think it's not that he doesn't like foods, it's that he wants to be in control of what he eats.
Right.
And so when we put things in front of him that he doesn't get to choose, even if it's something he likes, he's like, no, I don't want that. So that's an interesting concept. We'll have to give that a test run.
I don't know if they're old enough yet, and that's like, I mean, she was 8 or 9 when we had this conversation, because she came to us, and that's, we tried to have since my wife and I have been dating. You ever have one of those moments that like all of a sudden you realize how long something's been, and she wasn't 8 or 9, she was like 10, you know, and it's like she was a full decade old. Anyways, she came to us to like, hey, you guys care about me, and everybody has said, you know, if you have an issue, you can go to them. And I told her parents from the start, like, look, if she needs to tell me something, if it's important, I'm going to let you know. But otherwise, it's off limits, right? What she tells me stays between us, because that's how trust is formed. If it's important, if it's like, listen, she's in danger, you need to do something about this, I will come to you. But otherwise, it's, and they're like, yeah, that totally makes sense, because trust needs to be there. And because of that, she knew she could come to us, and she came to us and said that. And, you know, so we're like, hey, try this. And it wasn't like, hey, Uncle Johnny told me that, you know, it was just, hey, why don't we try this instead? So it worked out for the better. But,
yeah,
I don't know. She was 10. You know? She wasn't a 4-year-old.
Yeah. So still, I don't know. I imagined either way. I feel like if I showed Titus an empty plate and I had pizza on the table and I said, okay, bud, you pick, you know, what do you want? Maybe pick a slice of pizza. I could see maybe that working. Maybe
it could be. You ever look at a piece of pizza like at youth group, and you're walking through the line and you're like, I'm gonna take this piece over here, and you go and you reach for that piece because I don't know, it just looks better to you at that time. Maybe that would be acceptable for him. Like, pizza's for dinner. I'm gonna take this piece over here, and obviously, like, you knew he was gonna take the piece that, right. So, but he thinks he's choosing. It's like what Anna said. Give him choices that you control.
You just pick the choices. Yeah, we'll try that out. We're having pizza tomorrow, I think, with my family. I wonder though how my kids are going to react. They're so funny. My daughter loves food, and even the hint of that dinner's ready, she is running to the table. So I wonder how they're going to respond when we just put down an empty plate and we're like, here you go.
What?
Here's an empty plate. Here's dinner. You tell us what you want on it.
Dude, that's like you need to make like a TikTok of that, man. Like a video of that. Just like here's dinner.
What the heck,
but it's
Dad?
empty.
I don't know. Titus would probably catch on, but Riley, I could see her having a real hard time with that one.
So we got to the point. I'll come to the table and my family's, or I'll finish dinner and my family's scattered to the four winds of the house. And it's like, hey, so I yell, dinner's ready. And Mabel's taken to, Nina, and she runs to the table and she hops in her high chair and then she tries to climb on the table.
Mm-hmm. That's where the food is.
That's where the food is, exactly. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today on the Dad Shoes podcast, the dad where you don't have to talk to anyone unless you want to. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on today's topic. You can reach us, like I said, at dadshoespod@gmail.com or at dadshoespod on Twitter. There's probably somewhere else, but definitely there. So let us know. Table manners, plans for the week. What do you do with your kids? Thanks, moms.
Bye.